For years, Nazi propaganda portrayed Adolf Hitler as a man who deeply loved animals, especially his German shepherd Blondi. The dog accompanied him to all of his military headquarters and remained loyal to him until the very end. But decades later, one disturbing question still remains. Could one of history's most brutal dictators truly love his dog? Blondi was given to him in 1941 by Martin Bormann, the head of the Nazi Party Chancellery and one of Hitler's closest associates. From that moment on, Dog frequently appeared alongside Hitler in official photographs and newsreels. German shepherds were widely regarded for their obedience and discipline, qualities that led to their use during military operations as guard dogs in ghettos and in Nazi concentration camps throughout the war. The breed also resembled wolves, animals that Adolf Hitler deeply admired for their predatory instincts, strength, and strict pack hierarchy, traits he often projected onto himself and the Nazi Party. One of Hitler's secretaries, Traudl Junge, later described in her memoirs how attached he was to Blondi. According to Junge, while staying at the Wolf's Lair headquarters, Adolf Hitler rarely left his quarters and spent most of his time indoors. One of the few exceptions were his walks with Blondi, who had also been brought to the bunker complex. Junge also recalled that Hitler occasionally trained and played with the dog, something that, in her words, brought him genuine enjoyment. He reportedly claimed that spending time with Blondi was his favorite way to relax. Eva Braun, Hitler's longtime companion, also owned 2 Scottish Terriers. As Traudl Junge later recalled, Adolf Hitler often joked about Eva's dogs, mockingly referring to them as brushes with handles. Eva would tease him in return, saying that his German shepherd Blondi looked more like a calf than a dog. Not all historians, however, believed that Adolf Hitler was genuinely devoted to animals. German historian Wolfgang Wippermann argued that Hitler's image as a dog lover was largely shaped by Nazi propaganda. In his view, Hitler spent relatively little time interacting with Blondi and likely treated the dog with strict discipline rather than warmth or companionship. Wippermann believed that the carefully crafted public image of Hitler with his German shepherd was intended to humanize the Nazi leader and present him as compassionate, despite the extreme brutality of his regime. There are also accounts suggesting that Adolf Hitler could be harsh and even violent toward Blondi during training sessions. According to some reports, his punishments at times became so severe that the dog would react out of fear and stress. Despite this, Blondi remained completely obedient to her owner and stayed loyally by his side until the very end. Blondi did not live to see her 4th birthday. In January 1945, as Allied bombing campaigns devastated Germany, Adolf Hitler moved into the underground Führerbunker near the Reich Chancellery in Berlin. Blondi followed him there, remaining constantly at his side during the final months of the war. By then, Hitler possessed cyanide capsules that had been delivered through Heinrich Himmler. However, the Nazi leader had begun to suspect betrayal within his inner circle. On April 28th, reports emerged that Himmler had secretly attempted to negotiate with the Western Allies behind Hitler's back. Furious, Hitler denounced his longtime associate as a traitor, ordered his arrest, and stripped him of all positions and honors in his political testament. Amid the growing paranoia inside the bunker, Hitler began to question whether the cyanide capsules supplied through Himmler could still be trusted. During those final days, Blondi rarely left his side. In the end, it was the dog who would be used to test whether the poison was genuine. According to the recollections of Rochus Misch, one of Hitler's bodyguards, the final moments of Blondi unfolded inside the Führerbunker only days before the fall of Berlin. Misch later recalled seeing Hitler's physician, Professor Werner Haase, quietly speaking with Adolf Hitler before entering a nearby washroom together with an SS orderly and Blondi. From nearby, Misch witnessed the dog being forced to open her mouth while Haas crushed a cyanide capsule inside using metal pliers. Moments later, the smell of bitter almonds, commonly associated with cyanide, filled the room. Hitler briefly stepped forward, silently observed the scene, and then turned away without saying a word. Rochus Misch also recalled that earlier in April 1945, Hitler's dog handler Fritz Tornow had shot and killed several of Blondi's puppies in the garden above the bunker. According to Misch, that moment convinced him that the end was near. In his view, if Adolf Hitler was willing to destroy even his dog's offspring, it meant he had already accepted his own fate. Blondi was poisoned on April 29, 1945. Hitler survived his dog by less than 2 days. During the night of April 29th to 30th, Hitler married Eva Braun inside the Führerbunker. The following day, both committed suicide as Soviet forces closed in on Berlin. On May 5, 1945, a Soviet Smersh search team discovered the burned remains of Adolf Hitler and Eva Braun in the garden near the Reich Chancellery, not far from the Führerbunker. Nearby were also the bodies of 2 dogs, Blondi and one of her puppies, Wolf, whom Hitler was said to favor. Ironically, Blondi may have influenced German history in an unexpected way even after the war. According to historian Wolfgang Wippermann, the German Shepherd gradually became associated in the public mind with Adolf Hitler and, more broadly, with Nazi propaganda, racial ideology, and terror. For decades after World War II, the breed carried uncomfortable political symbolism in Germany. As a result, almost no German chancellors chose to own German Shepherds, with the notable exception of Helmut Kohl during his younger years. In the next video, we'll continue this and other stories through rare images and first-hand accounts. If you'd like to follow the series and not miss future videos, consider subscribing to the channel. History deserves to be remembered and told carefully.